Welcome to In the Workshop. In this episode I'm going to be steaming a very old and rusty Mamod Stationary Steam Engine on the bench. This is one of two Mamod steam engines that were kindly given to me by a man called Chris from a neighbouring village. This is what it was like when I got it. And this is what it looked like after an hour in my ultrasonic cleaner using some liquid called Allendale. With the help of an ultrasonic cleaner, this special liquid is supposed to remove oxidation, like rust for instance, which it did very well on an old rusty chuck that I put in it a while back. This Allendale liquid was not so good for this application. And a word of caution if anyone's thinking about putting their old Mamod in a similar situation. This liquid is corrosive and it really does do a good job in dissolving the metal that the flywheel's made from. Even though I've cleaned up the flywheel using some coarse emery cloth followed by Scotch-Brite, in the previous close-up clip you can see that it is still pitted. Most of the steel parts are still very rusty. I know, I'll put them in this plastic tub and use some Evapo-Rust. It says clearly on the bottle that it is super safe rust remover, biodegradable, non-toxic, non-corrosive, etc. So this should be okay, that's my thinking. In order to immerse the base plate, I emptied the entire contents of the bottle into the plastic tub. And 24 hours later, I had a look at it. Well, it seems to have worked. The yellow liquid is now rust-coloured, and the base plate of this Mamod engine is looking slightly less rusty. The only problem is this Evapo-Rust stuff cost me £15, so really it's cost £15 to nearly remove the rust from this Mamod base plate. Which is a bit mad really, because this Mamod's not even worth £15. But I have to do this sort of thing so that you don't have to. But I'm still going to pour this liquid back into the bottle and see if it works a second time on something else. As you can see, most of the rust on the engine's base plate has been removed and it's looking a lot better. Until that is, I take a close look at the flywheel and this has really corroded away. While I think what to do with the flywheel, I'm using a wire brush just to get through to the bare metal. You can really see how badly pitted the metal is. This was incredibly rusty. I thought it would be a good idea to use my small Proxon blowtorch to warm up the base, just to evaporate the water so it didn't re-rust. Unfortunately, the flywheel is really bad. Here I'm actually wiping away what's left of the metal with a cloth. Look at it in this close-up, it's a disaster. So, just for the record, if you're thinking about cleaning up your Mamod steam engine, do not put it in Evapo-Rust or any other corrosive, or according to Evapo-Rust, non-corrosive substances. I don't know what the alloy is that Mamod parts are made from. I assume it to be a kind of aluminium alloy. Whatever it is, it dissolves very badly in this liquid. In this clip I'm oiling the parts and you will notice that I have cleaned up the flywheel using some emery cloth, but it's not looking good. The safety valve is completely devoid of an O-ring. This has long since perished away. Normally, Mamod fittings are sealed against the boiler bushes using fibre washers. I'm using an O-ring. Here's the one that I've fitted to the filler level plug. That should seal it, I think. It's worth mentioning that if you're using O-rings instead of fibre washers, you do not need to tighten them up very much. Here's an O-ring that I've fitted to the safety valve where it fits into the boiler. It's a little bit on the big side, but it will do the job. I also fitted a smaller silicone O-ring in the spring-loaded cap, so everything should be okay. I can't live with this flywheel in the state it's in, so I'm dismantling the engine and I'm going to try and remachine the surface of the flywheel. This is not how I would normally do the job. I would make a mandrel which would be supported at the tailstock end, etc, etc. But to save time, for this job I've just used the crankshaft as the mandrel and it's not supported at the other end either. I'm using my Myford lathe and taking extremely fine cuts. And it took about 4 extremely fine cuts to get through the corrosion. Here I'm using a piece of Scotch-Brite doubled over just to polish up the outer area of the flywheel. I took this opportunity to clean the housing where everything fits, and now I'm putting it back together. And most importantly, once it was reassembled, I re-oiled everything. These Mamods and other small toy steam engines are really horrible. It's a steel crankshaft running in steel bearings. But of course they were mass-produced and built to a very low price. I have in my collection an original Mamod funnel, so I thought I may as well use it, And here I'm filling the boiler with water. I anticipate problems because not only has this boiler not been used for many years, but when it was in the ultrasonic cleaner, I'm sure some of the liquid must have got inside the boiler. And this will cause a phenomenon called priming. When the boiler is under pressure and the steam starts to come out of the pipe to the engine, along with it will be some water. I didn't bother with a Mamod burner, I just used my Proxon blowtorch on its side, and this is quite good. I'm rotating the collar around the air holes on the blowtorch to just soften the flame. All I have to do now is wait. The engine's definitely looking a lot better, especially the flywheel. Maybe I should have machined the edges, but it's a good contrast. After a while I tried the safety valve. Yes, that's working fine, and as you can see, not only is steam blowing out of the safety valve, so is water. And when I tried to start the engine, all I got up the chimney was lots of water, so yes, the boiler is priming as I thought it would. I had to restart it several times, and eventually it got slightly better. Priming in model steam boilers is very common, particularly in a newly silver soldered copper boiler. It will often take 2 or 3 steamings for it to settle down. As the water level in the boiler started to drop as most of it was coming out of the chimney, the engine did run much better, and I just sat there watching the wheel go around. Happy memories from my early childhood. And that's it, that's all I'm going to do to this engine, so I'll leave you with it running under its own steam. This bit is at 25% normal speed, and I'd just like to say stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.